We appreciate you taking time to join us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, as always, in our outstanding studios. And sometimes the good Lord, just decides to make somebody special, just blesses him with all kinds of traits and characteristics. And Andrei Iosivas is a guy that the good Lord said, I'm going to make you special. Good looks, size, strength, speed, jumping ability. I mean, there's nothing that this young man can't do physically and mentally. Princeton education. He's a very, very unique person, very, very talented player. He had himself an outstanding training camp. He's the Cincinnati Bengal. You're going to like this young man. No two ways about it. Have a big opportunity for you here. Thanks for tuning in, because we have Andrei Iosivas, wide receiver extraordinaire for the Cincinnati Bengals out of Princeton, and has made a big impression on a lot of people at training camp. And he's joining us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, and we are thrilled to have him. Congratulations on a solid training camp, more than solid, outstanding training camp.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. Just took what I could from the good and a lot from the bad too. So it was a good experience.
So I know when the Bengals drafted you, they were surprised you were still there when they did draft you, because they were thinking about drafting you earlier, and there were reasons that obviously in every draft there's reasons for every round in the draft, but right. They had you on their board a lot higher than where you were selected. Mm-hmm. And their whole thing was, and this guy's got traits. This guy has a lot of really good traits. The only question was at the level of play at Princeton, would he be able to make the jump to the level of play in the National Football League? Well, you answered that question. I mean, what was the speed of the game, the level of play? Was there an adjustment, or did you just easily handle it, that transition?
Yeah, I mean, there is some things that I had to work through for sure that felt like maybe I wasn't transitioning as fast as I would like to. But I think when I look back on how I've progressed, I think that, my traits do help me build and grow fast. And it's been pretty smooth so far. And it's like, I didn't face that much press man, I would say, when I was at the Ivy League. So I think that's the biggest adjustment for me, just learning how to use my speed, my power, and certain techniques with certain DBs. And I think that was just the biggest jump for me, to be honest. But it's come smoothly.
Your speed and your power are two things. I mean, 6'3", well over 200 pounds. You can run, you can jump. I mean, you can pole vault 16 feet. It's amazing. I mean, you're an accomplished track and field star, but you're not a track and field guy trying to play football. You're a football player that just happens to excel at track and field as well. And that's a big difference.
Exactly. I mean, that's what I was trying to tell people too. That was a big thing for me in the draft process as well. Like, oh, are you a track guy like that plays football? Are you a football guy that plays track? And, I always tell people, like, if I loved track more, then I would be doing that right now. You know what I mean? Like, I was blessed with these athletic traits to where I could be doing both professionally, or at least striving to do both professionally. And, football was always my first love, and it's what I always loved to do. And my my traits translate to track pretty well too.
So outstanding gene pool, obviously. So is your dad an athlete, your mom an athlete, everybody athletes? What goes on in your family?
Well, my dad, he says he was like one of the best soccer players back in Romania, but there's no film, no nothing to show that, so I'm not really sure about that. My mom, she's like a CrossFit addict, but she didn't really play sports growing up, so there's always debates within my family of where I get my athleticism. But I think it's the strength from my Eastern European side and probably the fast twitch from my Filipino side.
Nice.
That's what I assume. Yeah.
So brothers, sisters, how big's your family?
Yeah, I have a younger brother. And that's it. Yeah. But he's a big boy too. He played varsity basketball. He's like 6'3", 220 around there. So
wow.
Yeah.
So did you played some basketball too with that jumping ability, didn't you?
Yeah, I played JV just for 1 year. But at that point I just focused on football and track just because I knew that I could be good at those two.
Okay, so let me take you back to draft night.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what was the moment like when you received that call from the Cincinnati Bengals? I'm assuming it was Zach Taylor, maybe, that
Yep.
gave you the phone call. What was that moment like for you?
It was honestly just that night for me was kind of stressful. I'm not gonna lie to you, just because you're always projected to go in a certain round, and I felt like I was in like a mid round, and then as day two went on, my agent kind of told me that it might be a way later round projection or like pickup, and so I kind of got scared a little bit. And day three is really long, so you're waiting and you just hear a bunch of people called. But once I got that call, it was just like a wave of relief just rushed over me. And it was the team that I wanted to draft me as well because the Bengals were my only 30 visit. So, I had somewhat of a relationship with the coaches and staff at that point. And I really liked what I saw when I came here on the 30. And so I was like, that'd be a really good place to go. And it was just a wave of relief and to a place that I wanted to go to. So it was just a great night after that.
Yeah. So, how many coaches did you? Who did you visit with in the organization? Coaches only? Did you visit with some front office people? Any
Yeah.
potential teammates or?
It was like everyone. It was coaches, front office. Yeah, we went to dinner with the coaches, and then the next day I met with front office personnel, and then we just would watch some film with Troy and stuff like that.
So, when you get the actual call, I'm sure you were surrounded by your parents and maybe your brother. Any other friends? What
Yeah.
was the group like around you?
Yeah, so I actually had it in Princeton just because I wanted to, have my football friends around me, and then my close friends from Hawaii actually were able to fly out to New Jersey with me, and so I had
Great.
my close friend group from Hawaii, my Princeton friends, and my girlfriend lives in New York, so her family was able to come down, and my family there and extended family. So it was all the people that I felt mattered to me a lot, and it was just a great moment to share with my friends and family. And everyone was really happy to me, and it's so nice seeing that support for me. And yeah, it's nice.
So, what was your first impression when you saw Paycor Stadium? I mean, it's like, oh man, hey, an NFL stadium. What'd you think when you saw Paycor?
Yeah, I mean, I was super excited. You see like the poster of Jamar
Right.
Joe like on the side when you walk in, and it's pretty crazy just knowing that you're going to be playing there with those guys. And the fans here are crazy too. So yeah, I was just really excited when I saw the stadium.
So, what about the city of Cincinnati? I mean, you've spent a little bit of time here now. What are your impressions of the city in Cincinnati? You like what you see?
Yeah, I do like it a lot. I was talking somewhere else. I remember like because I'm in New Jersey, and so I would go visit New York City a lot. And New York is like a really big city, and people are, I would not say rude, but like they're not
Right.
necessarily nice to each other. Whereas in Cincinnati, you get it's a nice city, but you kind of get a small town vibe to it. People say hello as they pass. And it's beautiful. It's nice. It's quiet. But it gets rowdy when the Reds come or like the Bengals play, and so it's a good mix of everything. To be honest, I've been really liking it so far.
So, do you feel like you've had your aha moment yet? Has it been like you're welcome to the NFL, kind of thing when you've either been out there at practice or in a preseason game, getting ready for the regular season to unfold? Has it been like, wow, the NFL? Oh, that was an aha moment. Do you have any of those?
Well, I kind of expected it to be, tough for me to use a lot of my efforts to do really well. But just in practice, every DB that you go against is a top caliber athlete, top caliber player, and so I mean, not that I would take reps off or like, but it's just you have to be on it 100% every time you go against them because, and you kind of learn tendencies too, and so when you're focusing so much, and so it's just a lot more of a mental game than you would expect, I guess.
Has it hit you yet that you're an NFL player? I mean, have you fully like, man, this is
It,
awesome?
it's weird to say that because like for friends and family, they're like, "Oh, like congratulations." But for me, I've always kind of had this goal in my mind, and it's I don't want it to sound bad, but it's kind of like this is the path that I wanted myself to be on, and I'm taking the steps to be on the path that I want to be on. And so for me, it's all just one step forward, one step forward. And so I'm very grateful, obviously, to be here. but I'm still not anywhere close to where I want to be. So it's kind of just, yeah, I just don't want to get complacent at all.
So you're with a wide receiver core where there's the big three. I mean, the Bengals are blessed with three very dynamic wide receivers. Have the veterans given you any tips, advice yet? Or is it a pretty good group for you to work with?
Yeah, they're always giving me tips and advice, T and Jamar, especially just because I've been playing on the outside mostly during camp.
Right.
They're always, they see something that I could do better or see something that they have learned from themselves, like, oh, I used to do this and I see you doing that and this is how I fixed it. It's just a bunch of stuff like that. So they've been really nice to me and they know that, they're just great teammates, great guys. And so it's great being behind those guys.
How about veteran cornerbacks and defensive backs in general? I mean, is there dialogue there? It's like, hey, you kind of tipped this. I could tell where you were going to make your break because, you gave me a little body language tip or any of that go on?
Yeah, sometimes like I remember a one-on-one rep, Cam Taylor Britt kind of locked me up a little bit. And I was asking him, why didn't you jump? And he's like, you didn't stick me hard enough. Like I gave him a stick, but he's like, you got to be convincing. I mean, so there's just little dialogue like that, or you raised up a little bit, so I knew you were going to break, all that kind of stuff. So it's all good, good talk when you're, trying to get better.
Give me a scouting report on yourself. I mean, what do you think are your biggest strengths? What are the Bengals getting in you?
I think that I'm a downfield threat for sure. I think I can get on top of the cornerback. I've been learning how to get on top of them pretty well now. I used to like turn my head a little bit too early, but now I just run and use my speed, learn how to use my speed. So definitely downfield threat. Obviously, like high balls, jump balls. I've been getting a lot of those, back shoulders. And those are the highlights of my camp in the preseason so far. So I think it's just a vertical threat who has leaping ability and back shoulder ability as well.
You've really made big strides in my eye in terms of extending your arms and using your length to catch the football
Yeah.
rather than trying to body the ball a little bit. Troy Walters was outstanding receiver himself at Stanford in the National Football League. What's it like to have a guy that played the position that you're playing, mentoring you on a daily basis like that?
Well, it's awesome because, like, first of all, he was one of the best ever in college, right? Won the Bolitnikoff.
Yep.
And so you have that experience. He played in the league for a really long time. And the thing about him is he's just so passionate about it. So you have someone who's played that long, been in the system for a long time, and someone who's so passionate about the game. It's like you know that he loves what he's talking about and he knows what he's talking about. And so that he just has so much credibility, so much passion, and you just love playing for him because he just wants you to be better.
Is there a play that you made either in practice or in a game, in a preseason game, where it's like, I know I can do this, and that this just confirmed it. I knew I had the ability to get it done, and I just got it done. I'm there. I'm good. Was there anything like that?
I would say maybe that first game when I didn't catch it, but I high pointed it in the end zone and kind of like almost somersaulted, like did a little twirl.
Yeah.
Barely got my foot out. So that was a play where a lot of my athleticism was on full display and it felt easy. You know what I mean? So I figured like if I can get to that point with like a lot of other skills as being a receiver, then I should be fine.
So a big part of your contribution to the Cincinnati Bengals this season will be on special teams with Darren Simmons. Tell me about your impression of Darren Simmons as a coach.
Yeah, he's super intense, and that's the same thing with Troy. Like he's super passionate about his work, and he wants everything to be perfect. And he knows, I mean, everybody knows how important special teams is to field position and just to the life of the team. And so he takes, he wants you to get better. He expects you to not make the same mistake twice, and he just holds you to a very high standard, which is necessary because a lot of the guys in there they want to play their respective position, receiver, linebacker, blah, blah. But he gets on you and he makes you want to be a better special teams player too. So it's good vibes in that room.
In conversation with him about you, one of the first things that he said about you is, man, this kid's tough. And that's a hell of a compliment. I mean, when a coach has that to say about you, that has to make you feel pretty darn good.
Yeah, it makes you feel good. I mean, it's just how he sees me, and I'm just hoping that the film speaks for itself and my play speaks for itself. And so I'm just hoping that that toughness and whatever I bring to the table will contribute to the team in the future.
Now, you didn't play probably a whole lot of special teams during the course of your career and as a football player. So, how big an adjustment was it to, be running down, covering kickoffs, covering punts, whatever the case may be?
Yeah, it's definitely a new experience for me. I mean, I think the more reps I get, the better I'll be, which is why I'm in there a lot, even in the preseason games. And I don't mind taking the reps. I like learning, but it's definitely something that I need to. It's a steep learning curve, especially for someone who hasn't played. But I think my athletic traits help me be a better special teams player. Running back, blocking, shedding blocks, and so it's just about reps now. And I think that I've gotten enough reps to kind of understand what it takes to be a great special teams player.
This organization is enjoying a lot of success here recently. I mean, it's a winning football team, and Zach has really built a very strong culture here
Right.
within the organization. Did you notice that right away? Did you see Cincinnati and the Bengals as a special place?
Definitely. I mean, you can see it, when you walk into the locker room, guys, usually you hear about, different, what's it called, position groups are kind of click together, but that's
Right.
really not how it is at all. It's everyone is, talking, having fun with each other, ping pong gets intense. And everyone just is friends with everybody. And so that's kind of what you notice when you walk into the locker room, which is a really good feeling.
So, how much do you know about the AFC North as a whole? I mean, it's a tough physical
Yeah.
division that seems to fit your style of play. Like we talked about, you're a tough guy. You're a physical guy. You've got power. You've got size. You have speed. You have strength. I mean, you seem to be pretty good fit for the AFC North.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a tough division. All you hear is, the Steelers, Ravens, Bengals, and Browns. I mean, it's a gritty division, but it's funny because like the Ivy League, Princeton, you think like, oh, it's you're just preppy kids, but there's a lot of gritty kids over there. New Jersey, Philly. It's like a bunch of those gritty kids, and so I've been around that kind of culture, and so I think that I'll fit right in.
So, when you're getting ready to play, uh, what's your week like? How do you take me through a week in the life of Andre as you're getting ready to play a football game? Take me through the beginning to the end.
I mean, it just goes. I think the thing that I will mostly focus on is preparing my body. I'm always stretching in the tubs, in the boots, making sure that my body's right. And honestly, for the preseason games like this past year, it's a lot of studying how different players play, like how different DBs their techniques are. Are they kind of backing off? Are they more physical? How do they play this receiver? And then just getting in the playbook. I mean, this past how many weeks has just been me making sure that I know everything, the X and the Z, and just knowing all the positions, knowing all the formations, and making sure that I can do everything in the snap of a finger, and just so that I can play out there and not think.
What's something about you that the fans don't know yet? I mean, is there any hidden talents or anything like that that Andre can divulge?
Hidden talent, I guess. Like my favorite pastime in Hawaii is body surfing.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm a big body surfer. We have like the best body surfing beach on Oahu, probably like 5 minutes from my house. And so go there, catch some barrels, sit in the sun, sit in the water. And that's probably like my favorite pastime.
Oh, that sounds awesome. There's no doubt about it. Living in Hawaii, I just can't imagine. I went to Hawaii, played in the Hula Bowl, so
Okay.
got an opportunity to go over there, and man, I'll tell you, I didn't want to leave. That was that's good living over there, man.
Yeah, it's a hard place to leave, especially like my first year in college. I remember because I went to like ski before and like other places, spring skiing, but when I moved to New Jersey the first year, I was like, dang, like I didn't really realize how good I had it in Hawaii. Like this is different, but I'm all good now. Yeah.
Are you a goal oriented guy? Are you somebody that has like the ultimate goal, but then goals along the way where you're rewarding yourself and you're climbing the ladder of success? And or how do you handle that part of your life?
Yeah, I mean, the goal for me is just always to be the best that I can be in anything that I do. And so that's kind of like just naturally how I'm built. But I always, yeah, I mean, I know the steps it take, like for me to take to become better. And so I just look at those steps right in front of me. And then the bigger goal of being the best I can in whatever I'm doing will happen. You know what I mean? And so wherever that path takes me, it'll be fine. But as long as I'm taking those small steps right in front of me, then that's all I can really focus on for right now.
Obviously, you're well spoken, tremendously educated. You went to Princeton, highly intelligent guy. What did you study at Princeton? What are you thinking about? I know football is the focus right now, and hopefully it's going to be for 10 or 15 years. That'd be awesome. But
Yeah.
at some point in time, there's, as Paul Brown, guy who founded the Bengals, would say to us, you're going to have to go to your life's work at some point, gentlemen. So I mean, what do you academically? What interested you, and what are you thinking about down the road, or have you thought that far?
Oh, well, I mean, I went to Princeton just so that in case I didn't go to the NFL, as kind of like the backup, and the connections that I would make there would lead me to have jobs that would hopefully make me a lot of money. But I studied politics. At first, when I came out of high school, politics was really interesting to me. But as I learned more about it, the less I kind of wanted to do with it. Um, but I mean, I never thought I was going to be in the realm of politics, but it was just something really interesting, especially like international relations, domestic affairs, stuff like that was really interesting. But I would say that the subject that interested me the most was religion, to be honest with you.
Oh,
But I didn't major in that. But I think if I were to go back to school, I mean, I still have to finish school. I didn't finish my second semester because I couldn't do online classes when I was training for the combine. But if
okay.
I were to go back and study something, it would definitely be religion.
I was fortunate enough to get accepted to Ivy League schools, Harvard, Princeton,
Mhm.
Dartmouth, all the Ivies. And the one thing I noticed on recruiting trips as such, like you mentioned, the people you meet, the alumni, the
Yeah.
the, the achievement of the alumni base. It's like, look, if you come here, you're going to have connections with this guy in this industry, this guy in this field. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable. And I didn't end up going to an Ivy League school because I wanted to try to play at a little higher level of football. A guy like you, a skill guy, those talents are going to be shown. But I thought, I don't know, in the trenches inside and the offensive and defensive line, just
Yeah.
want to play a little bit more competitively. But
Right.
that was the thing. When I came home from those visits and my parents asked me, I said, man, the amount of successful people and the contacts that I made in one weekend,
Yeah.
it's like, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, the alums of those like schools, they know what it takes to be a student athlete at those institutions, and so they always they always look for people who are successful there because if you can handle the rigors of a Ivy League education and be a great football player at the same time, you have what it takes to work with these guys, and these guys and they love their school, they love their community, and so it's just a perfect place to go if you want to, set up your future.
So pentathlete, right? Am I correct with that?
Yeah, it's indoors is the heptathlon, outdoors is the decathlon.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what event was the most difficult for you? Which one was the hardest for you to do your best in?
I would say probably the last event, which is indoors is 1,000 meters and outdoors is 1,500. Anything over 400 meters is pretty far for a race for like a bigger guy. So before those races, I'd always be like, man, like why did I choose this event? Like
Man,
you're just asking for like, yeah, 2.5 minutes or like 4 minutes of just lactic acid.
ooh, I mean, it's a dog gut race, right? I mean, isn't it? It's like, whew,
Yeah, I mean, because that's at the end of all the other events. So they like to top it all off. Let's just do this. So it's definitely you just got to thug it out and just be a beast. Yeah.
so when you're training for that type of competition, what type of training do you do?
It's just so you kind of split up the days. So you'll have sprint focus days, sprint and jump focus days. So you hit those kind of muscle groups, and then you have throw and lift focus days, and then you'll have like a pole vault day, in between. And so you'll have like a long jump and sprinting Monday, and then sometimes you'll end the day off with like a longer run too, just to like get that conditioning in because it's hard to train the like your slow twitch muscles at the same time you're training your fast twitch muscle. So sometimes you just got to get your cardio in. But it's all, the days are pretty long for a decathlete.
Yeah. And how close were you to, did you have a dream at any time to maybe try to be an Olympian in those events?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was a goal of mine as well.
Yeah.
One of my good family friends saw when I was a kid say, like, you could be one of the best decathletes ever. And, I mean, I did it on the side of football, and I got 4th in the nation indoors.
Wow.
And so it was something, and then for that year at the time, it was 10th in the world. That my score was 10th in the world in 2021 and 2022. So, I mean, I could have, it was definitely a goal of mine, but right now it's all football. And then if that comes up later, then we'll see.
Did you have any heroes growing up in the track and field world or in the football world that you remember having?
I mean, in football, I always looked up to Julio Jones. He was my favorite player, Megatron. But Julio always had a special place in my heart, to be honest. He was just a beast, and I wanted to be like him. And then in the track and field world, there's this guy. His name was Brian Clay. He's a decathlete from Hawaii, and he medaled at the Olympics. And so he's kind of like what I wanted to be if I were to pursue track.
Huh.
Yeah.
So any goals for you for this season for the Cincinnati Bengals? Do you have any, obviously I remember my first goal as a rookie was to make the team, and it's like that. Okay. That's a starting point. Right. And then once that happened, it started to kind of plot out other goals and try to achieve and move up the ladder a little bit. Do you go through that type of process, or do you just take it one day at a time, like you said earlier?
Yeah, I mean, there's always goals in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say like I write those goals down. It's more, how can I just go into every day just thinking, how can I be the best version of myself? How can I learn one more thing on special teams to make me better? How can I learn one more thing as a receiver to be better? And, like, as I said before, it will all lead to the greater goal of me being the best player that I want to be.
When did you realize that you might be a little bit unique in terms of your gifts, your athletic skills, and your traits and that sort of thing? Was there something, a period in your life where it was like, man, I'm different than a lot of my friends here? Was there anything that hit you that way?
I would say a small time when that happened was my senior year of high school, when I got 5 gold medals at my state track meet.
Wow.
Like my long jump was like 17th in the nation or something like that. And so that's kind of when I realized I was a bit different, but I didn't know how different I was until my junior year of college, when for the first time I got all conference for second team all Ivy as a receiver. And then I got 4th in the nation as a indoor heptathlete. And so that's when I kind of realized I think I'm built a little bit differently than like a lot of people. That's when I realized like the global scale of my athleticism.
So which turns you on more, a mental challenge of getting that Ivy League education, or the physical challenge of like playing in the National Football League, competing at the highest level physically?
Yeah, I mean, the goal was always the NFL. And so I think that always gets me excited, the physical challenge. I mean, it's mental too. Like, I mean, it, but yeah, being in the NFL and experiencing everything, the physical, the mental, I wouldn't say a toll, physical and mental experiences, I guess.
Right.
It's definitely something that I've always wanted. And so it just gets me a little bit excited.
So you like the grind, don't you? You're a worker, man. You love to grind, don't you?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it doesn't feel like work to me. You know what I mean? Like when you just know your goals, you're so process oriented, it feels like something that's necessary to achieve the goal that you set in your mind.
Well, I can't thank you enough for carving time for us. I know the Cincinnati Bengals are thrilled to death to have you as part of the organization, and rightfully so. I mean, you're an outstanding, not just outstanding football player, but an outstanding person. And credit to any organization. And I know the Bengals are excited you're part of theirs. And congratulations for making it, Andrei, and have the best rookie season anybody's ever had, my man.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks for your time.
Yep, thank you.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realized self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.